All right, so AGI, Artificial General Intelligence,
Oh, yeah.
it's been making a lot of buzz lately.
It has.
You know, it's the kind of AI that makes you think of robots taking over the world,
Right.
like in those sci-fi movies.
It certainly captures the imagination, doesn't it?
It does.
But what if I told you there's a project out there
Hmm.
that's bringing us closer to that reality?
Hold on.
Not in like a scary way,
Okay.
but by actually using AI to tackle real-world tasks.
Now you've got my attention.
Yeah.
What is this project all about?
It's called MiniAGI,
MiniAGI.
and it's an open source project on GitHub.
Okay.
Essentially, it's a simple autonomous agent that can use the power of OpenAI's API,
Okay.
specifically GPT 3.5 Turbo and GPT-4,
Mm.
to understand instructions and get things done.
Hold on. Let's break that down for a second.
Sure.
GPT. I know it's a big deal in the AI world,
Huge.
but not everyone might be familiar with APIs.
Right.
What exactly is an API?
Yeah.
And why is it important here?
You're right. That's a good point.
Wait.
An API, or Application Programming Interface,
Okay.
is basically a way for different software programs to talk to each other.
Okay.
In this case,
Yeah.
MiniAGI uses the OpenAI API to tap into the power of GPT, which is a really advanced language model.
So it's like
Yeah.
MiniAGI is the brains of the operation,
Okay.
and GPT is the muscle providing the language processing power.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
And what's really cool
Mm.
is that MiniAGI is designed to be relatively user-friendly.
Okay.
You don't need to be a coding expert to interact with it.
That's good.
You can give it an objective in plain English,
Uh-huh.
and it figures out how to make it happen.
Okay. That's starting to sound a lot less like science fiction
Right.
and a lot more like something I could actually use.
Yeah.
But how does it actually work?
Right.
What's going on under the hood?
That's where things get really fascinating.
Okay.
MiniAGI uses something called chain of thought reasoning to solve problems.
Chain of...
It's not just blindly following instructions.
Okay.
It's actually thinking things through step by step,
Wow.
like a human would.
So it's not just reacting.
No.
It's planning and strategizing.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive.
And that's a key difference.
Okay.
Between MiniAGI and simpler AI models,
Uh-huh.
it can break down complex tasks into smaller steps,
Right.
anticipate potential problems, and even adjust its approach based on the results.
I'm starting to see why this is generating so much buzz.
Yeah.
But I'm a show me, don't tell me kind
Okay.
of person.
Sure.
Do you have some real-world examples
Absolutely.
of what MiniAGI can actually do?
Let's start with something simple but visually impactful.
Okay.
One of the examples in the MiniAGI documentation is draw a beautiful car. You literally tell MiniAGI to draw a car,
Okay.
and it writes Python code using a library called PIL
Wow.
to create an image and save it to your desktop.
Wait, so it's not just finding an existing image online.
Nope.
It's actually creating a new one from scratch.
Precisely.
Really?
It takes your abstract request,
Oh, yeah.
draw a beautiful car,
Right.
and translates it into a series of concrete steps and executable code.
Wow.
It even chooses colors and shapes based on its understanding of what a beautiful car might look like.
Now, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see the potential here.
Right.
But let's move beyond drawing.
Okay.
Can MiniAGI handle more practical,
Yeah,
maybe even money-making tasks?
definitely.
Oh,
There's an example where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
task MiniAGI with go earn some money online.
Oh, wow.
And get this, it comes up with the idea of offering automated content summarization services.
So it's not just a creative artist.
No,
It's got an entrepreneurial side, too.
it certainly does.
Of it?
And it goes beyond just coming up with the idea.
Hmm.
MiniAGI actually figures out how to find potential clients online, communicate with them, and even handle payments securely,
Really?
all with the user's permission, of course.
It was like having a little business partner who never sleeps and is always hustling.
That's right.
That's pretty wild.
It does make you wonder what the future of work might look like, right?
It definitely does. But before we get too carried away with future predictions,
Sure.
I want to hear more about these practical examples.
Okay.
Can MiniAGI handle things that are a bit more, shall we say, technical?
Absolutely.
Like what?
It can even tackle tasks like network penetration testing
Wow.
and Bitcoin price analysis.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
For our listeners who might not be familiar with those terms,
Right.
can you give us a quick rundown of what those tasks actually involve?
Of course.
Yeah.
Network penetration testing is basically a way to assess the security of computer systems by simulating cyber attacks.
Okay.
It's a complex process that involves identifying vulnerabilities, exploiting them, and then recommending ways to fix those weaknesses.
And Bitcoin price analysis.
Well, that involves analyzing market trends, historical data, and various technical indicators to try and predict future price movements.
So we're talking about pretty specialized, even expert-level tasks here.
Absolutely.
How on earth is MiniAGI able to do those things?
That's where MiniAGI's ability to work with existing tools and data comes in.
Okay.
It can utilize pre-existing software and algorithms designed for penetration testing or financial analysis. It's not inventing new hacking techniques or financial models from scratch, but it's incredibly adept at using existing resources to achieve its goals.
So it's like having access to a whole team of experts all rolled into one.
You got it.
That's incredibly powerful.
It is.
But I have to ask,
Sure.
and I'm sure our listeners are wondering the same thing.
All right.
Is there a limit to what MiniAGI can do?
Well, that's where we need to separate the hype from the reality.
Okay.
There's an example in the documentation that playfully suggests MiniAGI can be tasked with taking over the world.
Okay, now that sounds like we're back in sci-fi territory.
Right.
Is MiniAGI really plotting world domination?
Not quite.
Okay.
Obviously, that's a tongue-in-cheek example.
Right.
But it does highlight how MiniAGI can be used to explore complex problems and potential solutions, even if those problems are as outlandish as taking over the world.
So it's more about demonstrating MiniAGI's potential
Yeah.
for problem solving on a grand scale.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's important to remember that current AI, even something as advanced as MiniAGI, still has limitations.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So while world domination might be off the table for now,
Right.
what are some other cool,
Sure.
maybe even fun things
Yeah.
that MiniAGI can do?
Well, it can create a basic website, generate artwork in different styles,
Okay.
and even summarize entire episodes of Star Trek,
Yeah. Okay.
Picard.
Now those are examples they can get behind.
And there's one example that really highlights MiniAGI's resourcefulness and adaptability. Ordering a salami pizza.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
It can order pizza.
It can, or at least it tries to. Okay.
The first time it realized there wasn't a real pizza API, so it pretended to order one.
What?
But it eventually figured out how to use an actual food delivery service to place a real order.
So it's a bit of a trickster, too.
Yeah, we could say that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But before we spiral into an existential crisis about AI ordering pizza,
Right.
maybe you can help us understand what all of this means for our listeners.
Sure.
What are the key takeaways here?
I think the most important takeaway is that MiniAGI is a glimpse into the future of AI.
Okay.
It shows us how we can potentially automate complex tasks with relatively simple instructions using natural language.
And that has huge implications for businesses and individuals alike, right?
Absolutely. Imagine a world where you can delegate tasks to an AI agent
Yeah.
and have it not only complete them, but also explain its reasoning in a way that's understandable to you.
That sounds like a game changer.
It is.
But I'm guessing there's a lot more to unpack here.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it comes to how this could be applied in the real world. Absolutely. And that's where we'll pick up in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll explore how MiniAGI and AI agents, it could potentially revolutionize different industries.
Sounds like we've got a lot more to cover.
We do. It's fascinating how MiniAGI can go from something as whimsical as drawing a car or ordering a pizza to tackling serious tasks like network penetration testing.
Yeah, it really highlights the versatility of this technology, doesn't it?
It does.
It's almost like it has different modes for different tasks.
Well, it's not about having distinct personalities or modes,
Okay.
but rather a remarkable level of adaptability.
Okay.
And that's a key aspect of what makes MiniAGI so intriguing. It's not limited to a specific domain or industry.
Right.
It can be applied to a wide range of tasks, from the mundane to the highly complex.
And that's where I think things get really interesting, especially when we start thinking about the potential implications for businesses and organizations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
MiniAGI and AI agents like it have the potential to revolutionize the way companies operate across various departments and functions.
Okay, so let's dive into some specific use cases.
Yeah.
Let's start with something that everyone can relate to. Customer service.
Sure.
How could MiniAGI be utilized to improve customer interactions and support?
Imagine an AI-powered customer service agent that can handle basic inquiries, troubleshoot common issues,
Okay.
and even provide personalized recommendations 24/7.
So no more waiting on hold for hours just to get a simple question answered.
Right.
I think customers everywhere would rejoice at that. But beyond just answering questions,
Yeah.
could MiniAGI actually enhance the overall customer experience?
Absolutely. It could analyze customer data,
Okay.
identify patterns in behavior or feedback, and even predict potential issues before they arise.
So it's like taking customer service to the next level.
Exactly.
Well, let's shift gears a bit
Sure.
and talk about another crucial area for businesses: marketing and sales.
Okay.
How could MiniAGI be a game changer in those departments?
Imagine MiniAGI being used to personalize marketing campaigns, target specific customer segments with laser precision,
Okay.
and even automate lead generation and follow-up.
So it could analyze market trends,
Yes.
identify potential leads, and even craft compelling marketing copy.
It certainly could.
That sounds like a marketer's dream come true.
It's certainly a powerful tool, but it's important to remember that human creativity and strategic thinking are still essential in marketing.
Okay.
MinIGI could handle many of the repetitive and time-consuming tasks, allowing marketers to focus on the bigger picture and more strategic initiatives.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's get a little more technical.
Okay.
Could MiniAGI actually help software developers write better code?
It already can, to a certain extent.
Really?
MiniAGI can generate code snippets, help debug existing code, and even suggest improvements based on best practices.
Wow.
It can also assist with tasks like documentation and testing,
Okay.
freeing up developers to focus on more creative and complex aspects of software development.
So it's not about replacing programmers, but rather about augmenting their skills and making them more efficient.
Precisely. It's about collaboration and empowerment.
Okay.
And this concept of AI augmentation applies to many other industries as well.
Like healthcare, for example.
Absolutely.
I could see AI playing a significant role in that field.
Definitely. MiniAGI could assist doctors in diagnosing diseases by analyzing medical images and patient data,
Okay.
recommending personalized treatment plans,
Wow.
and even helping with administrative tasks like scheduling appointments and managing patient records.
That's incredible. But with all of these potential applications,
Yeah.
especially in sensitive areas like healthcare,
Right.
we have to address the elephant in the room: security and data privacy.
Of course.
How can we ensure responsible and ethical use of AI like MiniAGI, especially when dealing with sensitive information?
You raise a crucial point. Any use of AI, especially in fields like healthcare, finance, or any area involving personal data,
Yeah.
must prioritize security and privacy. Robust safeguards need to be in place to protect sensitive information, and human oversight is absolutely essential.
So it's not just about the technology itself,
Yeah.
but also about the ethical framework and guidelines that govern its use.
Exactly. We need to ensure that AI is developed and deployed responsibly with transparency and accountability at every step.
Well said. Now we've covered customer service, marketing, software development, and healthcare.
We have.
What other industries could benefit from MiniAGI and AI agents like it?
The possibilities are vast.
Like what?
We could see MiniAGI being utilized in finance for tasks like fraud detection, risk assessment, and even portfolio management.
Okay.
In education, it could personalize learning experiences, provide automated tutoring,
Right.
and help educators create more engaging and effective learning materials.
It sounds like there's no limit to the potential applications.
It does.
But how realistic is all of this?
Yeah.
Are we really on the verge of this AI revolution?
The technology is certainly advancing rapidly, and we're seeing more and more real-world applications emerge every day.
Okay.
But it's important to acknowledge that there are still challenges to overcome.
Like what?
AI agents like MiniAGI require significant computing power, access to large data sets, and careful fine-tuning to ensure accuracy and reliability.
So it's not as simple as just plugging it in and letting it run wild.
Not quite. It requires expertise, careful planning,
Okay.
and ongoing monitoring and adjustment. But the progress we're seeing is undeniable.
Yeah.
And as the technology continues to mature,
Right.
we can expect to see even more innovative and impactful applications of AI agents like MiniAGI.
This is all incredibly exciting,
Yeah.
but I think it's also important to acknowledge the potential downsides.
Sure.
We've all seen those sci-fi movies where AI turns against humanity.
Right.
Is that a realistic concern?
It's a valid concern and one that should not be dismissed.
Okay.
However, it's crucial to remember that AI is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. Okay. The key is to ensure that AI is developed and used responsibly, with appropriate safeguards and ethical considerations at the forefront.
So it's up to us, the humans,
Yes.
to steer the development and deployment of AI in a positive and beneficial direction.
Precisely. We need to have open and honest conversations
Okay.
about the potential benefits and risks of AI.
Uh-huh.
And we need to work collaboratively to establish ethical guidelines
Right.
and ensure that this powerful technology is used to benefit society as a whole.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
So it's not about fearing AI,
No,
but about understanding its potential and shaping its future in a way that aligns with our values.
exactly. AI is not a force to be feared,
Okay.
but a force to be harnessed. It has the potential to solve some of the world's most pressing problems,
Wow.
create new opportunities, and enhance our lives in countless ways.
Mm.
But it's up to us to ensure that happens.
Well said. So we've talked about the potential benefits and risks of AI.
Yeah.
And we've explored various use cases across different industries.
Right.
But how can our listeners, who are likely busy professionals,
Mhm.
prepare for this AI-driven future?
Right.
What skills and knowledge will be most valuable in this evolving landscape?
That's an excellent question. I think the most important skills will be those that complement AI rather than compete with it.
Okay.
Things like creativity,
Mm-hmm.
critical thinking, complex problem solving, emotional intelligence,
Right.
and the ability to adapt to change will become even more valuable as AI takes over more routine and technical tasks.
So it's not just about learning to code or becoming a data scientist.
No.
It's about cultivating those uniquely human skills that AI can't replicate.
Exactly. We need to focus on what makes us human
Right.
and what makes us valuable in a world where AI is becoming increasingly prevalent.
I love that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about being adaptable,
Yes.
creative, and embracing our human strengths, even in an increasingly automated world.
Enticely. Those are the qualities that will set us apart and allow us to thrive in the age of AI.
That's a great message to leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Sure.
I want to go back to the example of MiniAGI being tasked with taking over the world.
Yes, the hypothetical world domination scenario.
Right.
What intrigued you about that example?
Well, it made me wonder if MiniAGI can attempt such a complex and ambitious task, even in a simulated environment.
Right.
What does that tell us about the potential of AI to solve real-world problems?
Yeah,
Problems like climate change, poverty, disease.
that's a profound question. And while MiniAGI's attempt at world domination was obviously a thought experiment,
Okay.
it does highlight the potential for AI to tackle large-scale challenges by breaking them down into smaller, manageable steps.
Right.
And seeking human collaboration when necessary.
So even though MiniAGI couldn't actually take over the world,
Right.
it serves as a reminder of the incredible problem-solving potential of AI when applied to challenges that truly matter.
Exactly. It's about channeling the power of AI towards solutions that benefit humanity and address some of the most pressing issues we face.
Now, that's an inspiring thought. It makes me optimistic about the future of AI and its potential to make a real difference in the world.
Me too.
Yeah.
I believe that AI, if developed and used responsibly, can be a powerful force for good.
Well, on that hopeful note, I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive into the world of MiniAGI.
Okay.
But we're not quite finished yet.
Yeah.
We still need to explore what the future holds for this remarkable technology
Right.
and what it might mean for the future of work.
I agree. There's still much more to discuss.
Okay.
We'll delve into those fascinating topics in the final part of our deep dive.
We've talked about the impressive capabilities of MiniAGI and how it's poised to disrupt various industries.
Yeah.
But perhaps the most intriguing question is,
Mm-hmm.
what does this mean for the future of work?
Right.
I mean, if AI can potentially automate so many tasks,
Yeah.
will we all be out of jobs?
That's a question that's on a lot of people's minds, and
Yeah.
it's certainly a valid concern, but I think it's important to remember that AI is not necessarily a job killer. It's more like a job transformer.
So instead of thinking about AI as replacing jobs entirely,
Right.
we should be looking at how it will reshape the nature of work.
Exactly. AI has the potential to automate many of the routine, repetitive tasks that currently occupy a large portion of our workdays.
Like what?
Think data entry,
Hmm.
scheduling,
Okay.
basic customer service inquiries, those kinds of things.
So the things that we often find tedious and time-consuming.
Precisely. And by automating those tasks,
Yeah.
AI could free up human workers to focus on more creative,
Oh,
strategic and fulfilling aspects of their jobs.
that sounds pretty appealing.
Right.
But I'm wondering,
Yeah.
what about the people whose jobs are primarily focused on those routine tasks that AI might take over?
Right.
What happens to them?
That's a crucial point.
Okay.
And it's something we need to address as a society.
Right.
We need to invest in education and training programs that help people develop the skills they need to thrive in an AI-driven world. Skills that complement AI rather than compete with it.
So things like critical thinking,
Yeah.
problem-solving, creativity,
Uh-huh.
emotional intelligence, the kinds of things that AI isn't quite so good at yet.
Exactly. We also need to have open discussions about new economic models that could provide a safety net for those who might be displaced by automation.
So it's not just about technological advancement.
Yeah.
It's about adapting our social and economic systems to this new reality.
Absolutely. The transition to an AI-driven economy will require a multifaceted approach.
Right.
But let's assume for a moment that we can successfully navigate this transition.
Okay.
What would the future of work actually look like?
Hmm.
Would we all be working side by side with AI agents like MiniAGI?
I can't help but picture some kind of futuristic office where humans and robots are collaborating on projects.
I think that's a plausible scenario. We'll likely see a lot more human-AI collaboration in the workplace.
Yeah.
AI agents could augment our capabilities, provide insights, and help us make better decisions.
So to use a phrase we've touched on before,
Yeah,
it's not man versus machine.
right.
It's man with machine.
Precisely. It's about leveraging the strengths of both humans and AI to achieve greater outcomes.
Okay.
But let's be realistic.
Sure.
We're still in the early stages of AI development. There are still limitations and challenges to overcome.
I'm curious, what are some of the key hurdles that we need to clear before we can fully realize this vision of an AI-powered future?
Well, AI models like MiniAGI,
Yeah.
as impressive as they are,
Right.
still require significant computing power and access to vast amounts of data.
Right.
There are also concerns about bias in AI algorithms
Okay.
and the need for greater transparency and explainability.
Mm-hmm.
We need to ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly.
So it's not just about making AI smarter.
No,
It's about making it more fair, transparent, and accountable.
absolutely. And I think that's where human oversight and ethical considerations come into play. It's not about blindly embracing AI, but about approaching it with a critical and thoughtful mindset.
Well, we've certainly covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
Yeah.
We've explored the amazing capabilities of MiniAGI,
Yeah.
discussed its potential impact on various industries, and even pondered the philosophical implications for the future of work.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
And it's clear that this is just the beginning.
Before we wrap things up,
Sure.
I want to circle back to one of the key takeaways from our exploration of MiniAGI,
Okay.
and that is the enduring importance of human ingenuity and creativity.
I couldn't agree more. While AI can automate many tasks,
Yeah.
it's still humans who set the goals,
Right.
define the problems, and
Right.
ultimately decide how AI is used.
So it's not about being replaced by AI,
No,
but about using it as a tool to amplify our own capabilities.
exactly.
Right.
Our creativity,
Yeah.
empathy, critical thinking skills,
Right.
and ability to connect with others on a human level will become even more valuable in an AI-driven world.
That's a powerful message to leave our listeners with.
Yeah.
So as we conclude this deep dive into the world of MiniAGI,
Okay.
we want to encourage you to embrace the possibilities of AI, but never underestimate the power of your own human ingenuity.
Well said.
The future is ours to create together.
And remember, the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we actively shape through our choices and actions.
That's a wrap on this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.